Okay, part of one of the late evenings that Les has had recently was registering every club member for the app. What that does is it sends you an email to the email address the club have in their database. It sends you an email with a verification and download for the app in the email. Once you've verified, you also get a password. So once you've done that two-step process of downloading the app and verifying your email, when you launch the app, this is the screen that you land on. You'll notice that there's two options at the top. There's a sign up option and there's a sign in option. A lot of golf clubs have had issues that although the people have been registered, they've already got their email, they've already been sent their password, and members have tried to sign up again. And they do that and they fail, and then they try and sign up with a different email address and it creates a guest ID. It does create a little bit of a problem. So the reason I'm starting here is it's very important that when you've got your email and you've part your password from Les registering you, that you use that email and you use that password and you go into the sign in part of the launch screen. So let me just do that. I'll sign myself in. And here is the landing page for Gurut Golf Club. Now there's a couple of things to do very quickly when you first get into the app that will make the experience more pleasurable. Down the bottom here you'll have a more button and it'll allow you to make some settings that, as I say, that will help you get the best out of it. So if I click on that more button, there's two places I want to take you to, is my app and my personal data. If I first go to my app, you'll see down here when you first log on, it's got a keep me logged in button and it's off. It's always off when you first log in. If you switch that on, it will remember your password and it won't keep kicking you out and asking you for your password. So it's always worthwhile switching that on so you don't have to keep entering your password. And if you've got finger, touch or face, then you can also enable that. And that will also use your finger or your face ID to unlock the phone on this when this app is running. Again, that's a useful feature to switch on. And further down the bottom, you can receive push notifications. Again, that's always off. You have to choose whether you want it on. And if you have it on, this little Golf's app is a messaging system where you can message members at your club. If you want to be able to receive messages and get a notification of it, then you have to switch the receive push notifications on. So that's also a useful thing to do. Let me now go back and then let's look at some of my personal data. So if I go into personal data, you can do various things in here. You can update your mobile phone number. You can change your address. If you make any changes and you press Save Changes, Les in the back office will get these changes on the VMS. So this is your data, you set it. If you change it, then it will update the back office system. You can also, if you want, change your email address, and that will change your user ID that you log on with. So if you're not happy with the email address, maybe you have had a work one and you've retired, and you now want to use a personal one, then if you update that email address and press Change Email, the club will get the new email address automatically into their database and you will be able to log in with your new email address. So that's where you change that. And last but not least is you get a very crazy password. It's usually LP dash with a whole lot of numbers. Not many people would like to keep that password, so you can change the password in the personal section to something that you want. Your password is never stored anywhere. All that Les can do in the back office is resend it to you. He doesn't get to see the password, but he can push a recover password, which will send you the password to your email. So if you don't like the LP-T blah, 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 you can go in here and change that password. Last but not least is that, don't worry about this, I do lots of demos and end up doing demos at clubs, but you'll have your venues. Some people might be a member of more than one club. The venue directory allows other golfers to see the directory of golfers to add them to tee times or add them to competitions. So if you want your buddies to be able to add you to a competition, you need to have your venue directory on, and that's how you switch it on. I'm obviously in the Guruk system, so I've got Guruk's on. You will have Cruden Bay, and you need to check that Cruden Bay is on. And that is your setup, basic setup that will make the app a lot more usable. If I go back to the home screen, this is where you log in. There's lots of functions in here that you won't use, but one that you probably will use is the handicap. So up at the top left, you've got a handicap button. This actually sets the handicap for your home club. So if Cruden Bay is not your home club and your home club's not using VMS, you won't have this button. You still will be able to get your CDH handicap, but you won't have this button at the top left. By the way, can I just step back a bit? This icon here, the logo for Guruk, if you're a multiple member at multiple clubs, if you push the logo, you can change it to any other club you want. I was helping Kilmacombe recently. I've now logged in as Kilmacombe. I'm on their booking sheet. I'm on their competitions. I'm on my account at Kilmacombe. Wish it was true. So you can change the club to your other club that you're a member of just by selecting it. It's your home club that sets the handicap. So this is the handicap from the home club, the -7.8. If I click on that button, it will take me to the handicap page. This is the handicap that's in the venue management system. This is the handicap that's in CDH. Why is there two different places? Well, if you're not using the venue management system to run competitions, you won't have anything here. It will just be blank because your handicap will be in Club Systems or Handicap Master or one of the other ISVs. So that is what is in VMS in terms of the handicap if you're using VMS. This, however, is the central database for handicap. That's your official handicap. And if I click on that, you can see all my handicap records from a way back. And everybody will be able to get access when you log in and be able to look at all your records. The good news about that is that my last 20 scores are obviously there. It can calculate my best 8 from my last 20. So sometime soon, you will get an early view of what your World Handicap Index is going to be when they do the World Handicap Index calculation. And that will be the third data point that will be on your handicap record. There's also a facility to play a general play, which is currently supplementary score, but will be called general play for next year. So we've just gone early with the general play title, but this is equivalent to the supplementary score. So if you want to post a score for handicap, you can push that button. It will then take you to a choice of where are you playing. Right now, supplementary scores can only be played at your own club. You then pick the course. It will be only the measured courses that will appear for you to be able to select a measured course. It then gives you a warning that if you are signalling your intention to put a supplementary score, the earliest that you will be able to submit it will be in like 3 hours or 2.5 hours after you register. And if you don't process the score by that time, you will end up getting an NR in your record. So obviously the supplementary process is that you register an intent to play, you go play, and then you come back and put your score in. And if I hit agree, I would go into a scorecard, but we'll be showing you a competition shortly. You'll see the scorecard there. It's very similar to what you would get if you went through with this process. So that allows you to play supplementary scores at the club and get your record. Last thing in handicap is if you play in courses like yours, maybe you insist on handicap certificates. Actually, I don't think you do. I think you're more relaxed than that, Les.
Yeah,
but go to Royal Donnoch, they insist that you give them a copy of your handicap certificate. So if you wanted to do that, all you need to do is touch the certificate and you get an option to message it, or you can use your mail system or the WhatsApp, you can airdrop it, you can use whatever communication your phone's got to send your certificate to the club, which is quite neat if you want to have to email a certificate to a club because it's there and then you can pass it on. Or you can just show them the phone. Say, there's my certificate. So that's it on the handicaps. This part here you will not use. This is cashless Actually, Les, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you're planning to use cash, are you?
We're not, no.
No. Okay, this is for competition entries and prize funds being calculated by the software. So that's how we use that. This bar in the middle, you won't use. You won't have any facilities set up on your system. This is for booking facilities, like a casual round of golf, like if I show you, if we have golf simulators. So if you want to book a time at a golf simulator, you use that book now button, or you can have a casual round of golf. But as I say, that's not something that's being activated at Cruden Bay right now. The next part is a banner that advertises either competitions, opens, or events. We set up banners in the back office system. Our Greenkeepers Trophy is next week. Our Higgins and Carman Cup is the week after. These banners have been set up. These are competitions. If you click on these banners, it would take you to the entry page, Senior Club Championship. If I click on that, I'm probably already entered. There you go. So I could withdraw from the Club Championship. You'll notice up here, if you have sponsors for the Club Championship, their logos and even website addresses can be put onto the app. We've put WH Kirkwood, who are the sponsor of the Senior Club Champions. That's their logo that appears there. But that's the first place you should look if you want to get a fast path to enter a competition, is that if Les has set up a banner for the competition, the banners will just toggle through, and when you get to the competition you want, you can click on it. The banners disappear after the competition end date, and the banner appears at the start date that Les sets. The next one down is competitions on the day. So I have set up a Cruden Bay All Members demo that we'll go to shortly. And that shows you any competitions that are running on the day. So if you had a gents, a ladies and a juniors, there would be 3 dots there and you could scroll through. This section here you won't be using. That is your bookings on the day. So you have your competitions and, sorry, upcoming bookings. You have competitions today and the upcoming bookings section. Again, it's scrollable, so you can see any bookings that I've made are scrollable backwards and forwards. That is the layout of the homepage of the app. The important one for competitions is the competitions icon down at the bottom. I'll cover news at the end. Caddy, I'll show you as part of the process. Events is like competitions, but not on a golf course, like a gin tasting night or a burn supper or Les Durno's birthday party or whatever you want to have as an event. If you can advertise an event, it gets treated like a competition. You can create a banner or you can enter an event. So as I say, where you need to focus for running competitions and entering scores is the competitions tab. So let's go to that. So in the competitions tab, when you click on it, you land on this page. This page has past competitions, it has future competitions, it has order of merits for the club. Equally, it has all the open competitions for all clubs and regional and national. I would probably suggest most people will be here and maybe here on occasion. There's not many open competitions running at the moment because there was a travel restriction and all the public health regulations that were enforced, so not many clubs have opens. But all the club competitions are advertised here, and this is all set up in the back office. And you can see if we scroll down, all our competitions coming up in the future are all there. You'll eventually get to load more at the bottom, and you can go into it. So it's really your fixture list that's on the app in the competitions, and it's gender. So that is a gents competition, that's a ladies competition. You can have a mixed competition. It shows you the colour of the tee. One thing that's coming soon is that we'll have mixed tees so that you can play the same competition off multiple tees. Not currently available at the moment, but Les is very keen that we bring that forward through the development release schedule, because I know you use it a lot at Cruden Bay. So we're hopefully that will appear very soon. I'll come back and go into the past in order of minutes. What I'd like to show you is how do you get into a competition. So obviously you're playing in the future, which is today. I will now click on that competition. It'll take me to an entry page. There are reports that Les can make available. I've added a couple just so you can see them. You can have a terms of competition and local rules. See them down here. I've clicked this down arrow. It's now saying what do I want to see. Let's say I want to see the terms of competition. Please don't worry that it's not the right one. I've just put one from this weekend's coming up. So this is our terms of competition. You can even, I think, turn the phone on the side. It will make it larger for people that want to just read it. So you can put whatever you put as terms of competition for yours, you can then make it available on the app and people can see it there. I also added things like the local rules, which are probably the most useful ones. And again, you can get the local rules put up. That's obviously Gurut's local rules. You would put your own up on the system. And that can be there and available for every competition. So that's the select report. You'll see I'm not entered. The status is now to enter. I will now push that button, enter. I can now add additional members as long as, if you were listening at the start, you're on the venue directory. I can look for additional members, put a friend in. Oh, if I spell his name right. I can add them. I can take them out. So I can add up to the number of slots that are in the tee times available. There's a maximum 3. I can add members or whatever. Now, what happens when you add a member is that member gets an email and they also get a message on their app. And it says, you've been invited to play in the Cruden Bay All Members demo. Entry fee is 0. Do you want to accept or reject? If they accept, it confirms their tee time. If they reject, it takes them out their tee time. So that's what happens when somebody else adds you. You will either get an email, well, you'll get both an email and a message on the app to accept or reject. Let me take John out because he's not going to be able to play tonight. So once I confirm that I've entered, you then get an option to pick your tee time. So this is kind of reverse of what the other booking systems do. If you're used to any other booking system, you would pick a tee time as part of the entry process. Here you enter first and then you pick a tee time. So I'm now going to go to that purple box, pick a tee time. You can see David's already in. I'm now going to select a time beside him and now I'm in beside him. Don't worry about these blues and X's. I have an admin right that allows me to add people, move people, edit people around. It's just a function for anybody with admin. They can do that on their phone. I can start people and register them as no-show. But so that will be available to the people that Les wants to have admin access, and they can actually work the tee sheet on the day. Once you've entered the competition, you go back in on the day, and this is GPS enabled. You then can check in. If this is not in bright green and is in greyed out green, if that's a term, if it's dull, it means that you're not within 1 mile of Cruden Bay. You can only check in and you can only score if you're within 1 mile of the golf club. So if you see that greyed out, then you are too far away to check yourself in and score. It will also, by the way, be greyed out if you're not connected to Wi-Fi or you're not connected to 3G or 4G. It needs to know where you are in order for you to check in. That is the only time, the check-in and scoring process is the only time that you absolutely have to be connected. You then can take the phone out in the course, enter all the scores, and the second time that you have to be connected is when you want to post all the scores. Obviously, this is a live system, so if you stay connected as you go around, it will update your scores real time. So I'll go to check-in, push the check-in button. After I've checked in, surprise, surprise, you get a scoring button and you select scoring. So I need to go a little bit slow here. They've got 2 options. You've got normal scoring and you've got score for all players. If you score for all players, it does exactly as it says in the tin. You'll get everybody in the tee sheet and you will put their scores in yourself. That means you're scoring for your own score. It's not an approved way, as you know, by Kongu of how you can score yourself. But you can use that with the new rules that Kongu have come out with, as long as the club comes up with a method for that score to be verified. So you've obviously can verify your marker score that you're putting in, but you have to get somebody to verify your own score that's coming in. There's various ways to do that. I don't know which one Les is going to plump for. Maybe he'll comment at the end, or maybe want to comment now, but there's a couple of ways that you can get verification if you use Score for All. Far better method is normal scoring. Because what this does is this is a player and a marker. A marker marks the player's score and you sign for it. And a player marks the marker score and signs for it. So if you can, and you've both got a digital device, or all three have got a digital device, normal scoring is by far the best method because you don't have any verification requirement afterwards. So we'll use normal scoring on this one. You'll see that it'll tell me who's in my tee time. It's only David. So I will pick David as the person that I am marking. There's also a requirement in Kongu that you need to verify your handicap. Maybe I've just played an away game and I've been cut 0.2, so I can adjust down to 0.2 at this point, or I can leave it at 7.8 to make sure that I beat David. If I hit verify, it will then calculate, we're on the white tees, full handicap, I'm getting 8 shots. This would also give you an indication of what will happen in the World Handicap System. It'll do all the calculations for you and tell you how many shots you get based on the slope rating and course rating and the tee colours that you're playing. So that'll be quite handy to see the strokes being calculated automatically on the app. And then obviously continue, and it goes into the scorecard. As you can see, I've just lost data. We've got a red triangle, so we'll need to give it a second for it to reconnect. There we go. I've now got data back. So this button up here is a very important button. That's refresh. What we've found, lesson for the clubs that have been using it, we've had a few clubs using it. Not all golf clubs have good signals for 3G and 4G as they go around the course. So that red triangle that you saw a moment ago gets replaced by a refresh button. So if you've had the red triangle for a while and it hasn't been refreshed, it's always worth pushing the refresh button to make sure that you get the latest scores up to the cloud and back down again. So that's a refresh button, which is, as I say, something to keep an eye on. And certainly when you get to 18, it's worth making sure that you've refreshed before you close out the scores to make sure David's scores have gone up and come back down and my scores have gone up and back down to David's phone. The layout of the scorecard, let me just go through that. You've got a live leaderboard. We'll show you that as we're going through it. You've got a scorecard, which will show you the stroke index and the scores that are being loaded. This is the place that you can make corrections to a score. And I'll put an error in the system and I'll show you how to correct that in the scorecard. Over here, we have a pace of play window. Les can put pace of plays into the course cards. And if you get 15 minutes behind the pace of play, then that will go red. It's a self-governing way to keep up with the time that the club want people to play at. So if we populate the scores cards with the pace of play, you can self-govern yourself just by watching whether this is, it's yellow, by the way, until 15 and then red after 15.
Sorry, Gordon. A question's just come in there relative to what you're talking about. Just saying, if the signal drops, will I still be able to upload scores, and then will the data then push up when I reconnect again?
Absolutely. You can put this in airplane mode. You can play the whole round. Just don't submit 18 until you reconnect, get a signal, connect to the signal, then submit your 18, and all the scores from 1 to 18 would then go up at that point. We played our club championship last year using it. It was a tremendous atmosphere in the club, but the top, I would say 6 or 7 that were in the running, got spooked watching the leaderboard. They all went on to airplane mode and they were still in the 5th hole as they were coming down 18. They just didn't want to see the leading scores. They wanted to focus on the golf game. They then switched it off, all the scores up, and it revealed, the winner. So it definitely, this is a genuine app. It runs on your phone, it stores data on your phone, and then when it connects, it sends the data up. Hole 1 and hole par 5 is just the first hole. Then it's the name of the competition. I'm marking David. There's his handicap. He's getting 4 shots. Then you've got the scoring boxes. You can touch these, but you don't need to. If I touch David, I can now put David's score in. But the general way that it'll do is that when you go into the next hole, it's always the marker score first, and then it'll automatically switch over to the player's score. So David and I just stick on 4s. So if I do a 4-4, you see that puts marker player. I've not actually touched this part of the screen. And then if I submit, it submits the score. It moves on to hole 2. It's par 4, different name, but it's now moved on. And I'll do a few 4-4s. And I'll do a fat finger, 5-4, 4-4. What hole are you on, David?
10th hole.
Catch up with you. Okay, so we have now put 4-4s in. If I show you the live leaderboard, if I go to scoreboard, this shows that David and I are now through 9. I'm 4 under, he's 2 under. We've got 202 people in on Saturday. It's the live leaderboard for all 202 players appear on the scoreboard. And you can watch yourself moving up or down as you go round and around, if you're into watching live leaderboards. If I show you the scorecard, there's my fat finger, where I put a 5. I need to explain the layout of the scorecard to you. It's not well worded, this says my score, but it's in 2 columns. The first column is the score that I said I put in for my score. The second column is the data that David is marking for me. So that's the player score on David's card that is now gone up to the internet and back down. It lets me see David said I got a 4 and I got a 4. Very good. I said I got a 5. He said I got a 4. So I need to then correct that by touching the purple, correct it to a 4 and submit it. That is a good time, by the way, to push the refresh button, because that will now shove the score back up and back down to David, and he'll get the purple on this side will disappear. On this side is the scores that I'm marking for David. So obviously I put 4-4-4, and it's showing his handicap adjustments where he gets a net and a par, and it gives the -1, -2 as he goes round the course.
Yeah, sorry, Gordon, just quickly to interrupt you there. Just a reply to the one about the signal. It was just asked is how does the timing situation then work if scores are not updated? So I guess
does the what, sorry?
The timing situation. So I think that was when you just said just refresh the scores before you finalise the.
Yeah, pace of play will go red if you've got the data off, because it's not tracking you. You know it doesn't know where you are around the course.
Yeah.
So that will probably go red. I haven't tried it actually. I need to try it, but I would assume it would go red. And as soon as you connect, then the pace of play will catch up and readjust itself. Yeah, I'll check that one. I'm not 100% sure whether the timing works as you go round or whether it needs the connection.
Yeah, the pace of play hasn't been set up for Cruden Bay either, I don't think, Gordon. So
I think I put it in as 11 minutes a hole or something, but we'll see. You have a front 9, back 9. These are buttons that you can touch. It just obviously moves it onto the back 9, which we've not played yet, the front 9. When you finish, you will be presented with a scorecard to check. Another mistake players are making is they just look at the front 9, see everything matching and assume it's okay. They haven't gone to the back 9 and check, and there'll be some purple marks in there. You will not be able to push this finalise now button, which is the verification button, if all the scores don't match. That's a very important point. If you don't get finalise now live and you've got finalise in the venue interface live, then you'll know that the most likely reason is the data doesn't match. Always worth pressing refresh to make sure you've got the latest numbers up and down. But if the data doesn't match, make sure you fix it first before your finalise now button becomes live. You'll see that when David and I finish.
Another quick question coming there, Gordon. Can I put the scores in at the end of the round?
Yes, you can. But do it with your playing partner so that the scores go up and down to both devices. Don't do it in isolation, otherwise you could finalise and the other player hasn't got all the scores from you because he's not had a good data connection. So the best experience that we get are clubs that have good data connection to service providers, or clubs that have learnt the lesson that you finish on 18 together and you make sure that you're connected before you finish. What I want to show now is the caddy function. This is another feature that comes with the app. If I click on caddy, I'm on hole 10. This is the hole 10 at Guruk. It allows you to see distance to the pin. There is a feature for admin mode in the app that you can put pin positions 7 on in the middle. On this side, if I was outside and picking up the GPS, it would tell me distance to the front, distance to the back. So you've got the front and the back, the number of paces on, number of paces left or right, and that gives you everything you need to know the exact position of the pin. It assumes, by the way, your greenkeeper has gone and updated when he moves the pin location, but if he does, it's a very useful feature. And you've got a little scroll center there that you can set your distance that you drive to, or distance that you want to leave into the pin, and it gives you some yardages from where you're currently standing. And that will go to the hole that you're on at any point that you want to come from the scorecard to the caddy. And that's the caddy button right in the middle. If you go to another course and you're not playing a competition and not using the scorecard, you also have the caddy button down here, and that allows you to use just the caddy function at any other course that you play at. So if you have your app and you have the caddy with you, then that will load up that course. It's basically set by your GPS. It will load up the courses closest to your GPS location, select it, and then you'll have that course downloaded to enjoy your round there. So let me just go with David and finish 4-4. You're on 18, David?
I am on 18, just inputting my score right now, so ready to submit.
Okay, so let's submit on 18. All scores have been entered. And you can see he's a good, what do you call it? Support man. He managed to get all his scores in correctly. Back 9, front 9, all match. You've now got both options. Finalise now and sign. This finalise VI, I'll quickly show you what that is. But the finalise now is live and active. We can now click on that, and you'll see this is the screen for signing. If I hold my phone up, it's actually half the phone that you get to sign. Obviously, phones are different sizes, but it's as big as we can make it. I can then put a signature for myself, and under the new rules for Congo, you do not pass your phone over. Obviously, that's a hard surface. The risk of virus is great. So what you now do is you ask David, do you agree with the scores that I've put in? He says yes, and you put a mark on the card for the player rather than the player taking the phone and signing it. At Guruk, they're just doing verified by player. VBP is appearing in a lot of the cards, verified by player. And then, of course, you can verify it. It's successful, and that's you done the first round. If I now go back into the competition, that's my father calling me, sorry about that. If I now go into the competition, you can then watch how everybody else is going by looking at the scores. And if you go into the scores, you can see gross, net, gents prizes is the way that we've set this up. If I click on my card, then you can see down the bottom, I'll turn it sideways so you can see it. There's the digital scorecard that I signed, or David signed for me actually, copying my signature, I see. And that is a digital image. It's stored in the back office system. It's obviously in a Cat5 data center. It'll stay there for as long as you want it, and it'll meet any obligations for clubs to keep scorecards on record. So that is the scorecards. And as I say, you can watch from scoring. If there was more people playing, you would have all the scores coming in and what hole they were on, and you can watch the scores coming through. Let me show you, if I go back, let me go into the past scores. Let me look at competition from Saturday that I played in. Didn't do too well, as David will probably remind you. Once the scores are all in, you then get the results posted to the app. So this is a place that you can get the results from after Les has done the checking and verification and following up of anything he needs to follow up. He can then post the results. And if I go into the results, this is from Saturday. We have 3 divisions. I was playing in Division 1. Scroll down, see I came 23rd with a 75. And again, you can click on that and get all your score data. That was my card from Saturday on the results. But what's really neat about the results page, and this is like a best kept, oh, what have I done? Wrong person. Best kept secret. If you turn the phone on its side, it will then show you the winnings. But you're not doing winnings. I forgot about that. But if you were doing winnings, then you get to see the sweep and the twos and who got all the money. And the system calculates all that for you as well. So that's just another nice, neat feature for match and handicap people, being able to take the drudgery out of calculating sweep and twos. Last thing I would say is that we've started, I haven't shown Les how to do this yet. Oh no, sorry, before I go there. Order of merits, also useful. If you've got best 6 from 20 or whatever, you can set up order of merits. There's also other formats of golf that's available. You can play scrambles on this. You can do foursomes, 4 balls, all the other format, par bogeys. You can do all the formats of golf on the app. And again, it's all available as a scoring device on your phone. The order of merits are quite good. We ran a winter league, best 6 from the available games on Saturday, and it basically just adds up the best 6 Stableford points and can give you an order of merit, and you get that straight off your phone as well. And there's a nice little feature if you apply stats to rounds. You can do it to all rounds or order of merit rounds or some other rounds. You can get number of birdies or the averages or whatever, so you can see, I think these were just applied to the order of merit, who got the most birdies across the various rounds. Yeah, that was applied to the order of merit. You can see there I had 10 birdies across 13 rounds. So you get all that kind of nice data as well. If I go back to the home page, the last thing I would show you in the app that you might use, and again I'll chat to Les about it, is there's a news feed at the bottom. So there's, right beside competitions, there's a news feed, and I've started to post the results in the news feed. The news feed has Scottish Golf and it has Club. In fact, this is all the Scottish Golf news articles that are on their website. So if you want to read any of the articles from Scottish Golf, they're there. But if you also use a feature in the Club for the news feeds, then you can put Club news on here. And I've actually started putting competition results.
We have done a captain's newsletter in the Cruden Bay News as well, Colin, so you can click on that.
You can see it, yeah.
You can see it in there, yeah.
And if I click on the results, I was just experimenting with it, which is a better way to do it. That's a PDF. And that's the results with the money and the handicap adjustments. So instead of posting the handicap adjustments on the notice board, I've posted it in the news feed. And it's complete. It's the whole 196 players that played on Saturday, and they can see what their handicap adjustment is there. They also get an email, by the way, telling them what the result and the handicap adjustment is. But for peer review, that's quite a good thing. So we've started doing that by using the news feed at the bottom. Let me switch. What I'm going to do actually is delete my score a minute. Here's my share. New share, desktop share. There's the Cruden Bay back office. You don't need to worry about back office. This is doing less. He's not in at the moment, but we're getting him there. And I'm going to do enter scores. I'm going to take my score, David, and open it back up and just simulate, let's say, David's phone crashed halfway through. So my score's now not complete. I've just done that in the back office. I've got a card already, but I'm just making it so that I can show you something. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to switch over to a system that you will get, but not immediately. every golf club gets an iPad. It's very, very similar if you're used to club systems to your PSI terminals. This is the Scottish Golf equivalent of a PSI terminal, and it's an iPad. I don't know if you can see my screen, but it's, you know, it's basically an iPad. It comes in a secure locking unit, and it'll be on a wall or down at the pro shop, or you'll have 2 or 3 of them around. This is the alternative to using a phone in the course. So when we get back to some kind of normality and we can touch glass surfaces, then one of the options you'll have is not to use the phone, but to take a paper scorecard out and come back into the clubhouse and enter your score through the tablet. And you do that just by logging in with your name. It's date of birth enabled, so it knows who I am. I sign in. And what it does is it now brings up the equivalent system on the iPad. You'll see here your handicap data is there. That's exactly the same as what I showed you on the phone. The booking is the green bar that you're not using, but it's the same on the iPad. Then you've got the competitions, which is exactly the same as the competitions on the phone. But you've also got a little button that says you're in a round at the moment and you've got some scores to submit. And if I push that button, it'll take me to my scorecard, and it'll take me to the point that says, we got here, we crashed. Who's marking your score? This is where I would pick David because I played with David. But there are situations where you play with husband and wife play in 2 different competitions and they're marking each other's scores. And if that's the case, then you would say marker search. And again, as long as you've enabled venue directory, you can be found and you could be added as the marker for this particular player. I'll obviously just pick David at the moment, so now it's David's and me. And then I can very simply, it's just the same, it's a touchpad, 444444. That's now all ready. It's not ready to submit because we've not signed it. I can now sign the card as I've done before and put David's famous signature in.
Bit of a delay, I think, Gordon. There we go.
Does it come up?
Yeah, it's come up now, yeah.
Okay. So you can sign on the iPad, and once you've signed, the submit button becomes live, and now I can submit the button, and it's created the score that way. So that's the 2 methods. This obviously is dangerous in a virus situation, so I don't know when and if the club will release it or whether we'll be allowed alcoholic wipes to use that. I know a lot of members at Guruk preferred this method. We only had about 1/3 using phones, 2/3 stuck with the score entry after the round. We are now 100% on phones because of the COVID situation, and that's allowed us to continue playing competitive golf. I think there's lots more in this system, but that's the bits that Les asked me to cover. So unless there's any other questions or points from anybody, then I think I'll pause.
A couple overall questions for us, and then maybe potentially ones that Andrew or Les would like to could maybe finish on. So one came at the start there. The app doesn't automatically update. Should we do this regularly ourselves, or is there any way we can be made aware of a new update?
You can get the apps to automatically update, but that's a phone setting, not an app setting. So if you're an Apple user, then you go to settings, and then there's an auto update. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have a quick look.
Gordon, I looked at that this week, and it didn't actually work. We all had sent with a council meeting, and we looked at it and reset it, but it stayed at the old.
It updates. It automatically It doesn't automatically update when you selected that. The App Store will make updates at a certain time every day. So just when it's automatically updated, it may not update at that time.
Yeah, auto update doesn't update the instance that's available. It updates at a frequency. I don't know what Apple Store's frequency is, but it'll do it every X hours or every day or whatever.
And it didn't automatically update.
Yeah. Okay.
Ever?
Yeah, it's stuck in the old one.
Okay. Have a look at that.
Yeah. I know it does on mine, so maybe I need to get your phone make and model so we can try and replicate that, if you would mind, Andrew.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Leslie Evanson, my app doesn't show either handicap or supplementary scores. There was a duplicate account there. Leslie, so I've deleted the duplicate account and sent you a password recovery out to you. So if you go to the sign in process using your email and the password you've just been sent, you'll be able to log in and that will link to your Cruden Bay account.
Just before you move on, David, can I just go back and show
Yep.
where that is for people that don't know it? So iTunes and App Store is where you set apps or app updates on and automatic downloads on. That these three all have to be on for it to do the Apple updates. And as I say, I don't know when it does, it will do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, whatever. But these have to be on, and then it will update the app. It is just an app that's on the Apple Store, so it should work. But we'll have a look.
There you go, Gordon. You learn something new every day. That third button wasn't updated in mine, so that's it done now. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. I was worrying me that I couldn't understand that one. There you go.
How does the invite work if you're playing the free ball? I take it that means when you're adding other members, so you just add another 2 members. Or if it's a competition, the third member could add themselves. Got that one. I'll leave that one for Les or Andrew. Can the data be downloaded? I don't know if this means can you download it yourself? No one else can get access to the data. It's the club's data, the club data, and the players' play. So no one else can download your data. It's held on a secure server. So, but then I don't know if the person here is asking, can I download my own data from the app? So that the club can do CSV extracts of certain data and downloads from the back office, if that's the question there. But we, Scottish Golf can't do that. One for you, Gordon. Did Gurit use Club 2000 before this app, and has this totally replaced this app?
Yes, and yes. Yes, we were heavy Club V1 users. One of the reasons that we jumped so quickly is that we were on the old XP screens and were having issues, performance issues with the old XP technology. The cost of a BRS and a Club V1 license and hardware would have been close to an $8,000 investment for our club. So when we brought this in, we spent nothing. So we were very motivated to make it work to avoid having to spend the $8,000.
Right, and then I think the other ones are probably more for Scott was saying is the automatics worked on Samsung. That's good. And then I think what is the best mobile network at the Bay? I wouldn't know that one. That's probably one for one for the people who use the phones in the area. And then I think the other ones were just for yourself there potentially, Andrew.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll just pick up some of those. Just some of the questions that have come in. This is very, very early for us. You'll appreciate that we started off the year by not going to be using the Scottish Golf app or any app to let it bed in, let them get all the problems sorted out elsewhere, if I'm perfectly honest. But obviously we've been forced into this situation. We've spent a lot of time on this. Les has been almost full time on it, along with Gordon and David, to try and get it up. So let's just walk before we run. Somebody had asked about why we're not using the winnings. Again, we'll need to look at that, but we'll look at that later on. We just felt it was really important to get the scoring sorted for this week as much as we can.
Andrew, can I just add some supporting comment to that? I mean, Gurit took a year of running in parallel. So we were running club systems and this system in parallel to make sure it was all working. Yeah. Now we are bringing up, we're doing about 15 clubs a week, but the quickest we've ever done a club is probably Cruden Bay. Right? We're trying to get you up and running faster than we've ever got anybody up and running. So I think you're absolutely spot on that you should take small bites at it rather than try and do everything at once.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, definitely. I think your approach to this is the right approach.
Perfect. Similarly, we're not using the booking system meantime. The Scottish Golf booking system doesn't really fit in well with ours, so that's why we're still having the link, to use the booking system. So just something to bear in mind is you would book in, as you normally do, you book your tee time through the link system. When you go into Scottish Golf, it's only to enter the competition. You're not rebooking your system or whatever. The booking is actually made for you through the link system. So again, just bear that in mind.
I think on that, I think Les, you did say you got the link into the app if people wanted to access that through the app, didn't you? The link.
Yeah, it is in the app actually. If you go into more, sorry, I've not got the app on, but go into more.
Gordon, you might be able to bring that up on your phone if you go to the Cruden Bay system.
And go to club documents. There's a tee booking reservations option there. and that'll take you straight into where we normally go to book a tee time. So this is our normal booking system that we would use. The one that we're speaking about tonight that we're booking a tee time on is a confirmation that we're picking that tee time to play with our playing partner that we'd already booked. But it is there anyway.
Yeah, it is there. I've just got there and I've clicked on the link and that's working fine. So
okay, no problems.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, we won't be using pin positions just now. You know, let's just, as I say, let's just get the scoring out of the way. If you'd seen some of the stress that Leslie getting caused this week, you know, you would understand that we are going to try this in bite-sized pieces, and we will, you know, as soon as we can, or you know, if I think it's a good idea. The app's constantly being developed, you know, and we are in constant contact with David and Gordon about it. So, you know, please bear with us while we're getting there onto this system. A couple of things just peculiar to the club. Tomorrow we're going to try and improve the Wi-Fi connectivity downstairs in the pro shop. Neil's bandwidth isn't big enough to handle multiple users coming in and using it. So we're trying to get further access points downstairs so that you can log in through Wi-Fi. We don't know if this will work, you know, but we're going to try it tomorrow. And, you know, if it does, then fantastic. And if not, then we'll need to look at different situations. But again, please bear with us in this, you know, at that time. Just a wee look through the questions.
I think there was something about booking in at 7 p.m. was there?
Yeah, sorry, sorry, this is my second page. So there was some confusion last week because we had some multiple competitions on and somebody had booked into 2 or 3 competitions. So what we've done now is we have taken the decision that you'll only be able to book in from 7 p.m. the previous night into your competition, just to make that a little bit easier so we don't have that same situation again. I think that's all I had. I would just say, please don't take Gordon's mobile number down. His mobile number copies personal data. Gordon, please don't get bombarded with phone calls. I hope that's not the case.
I'm already bombarded with phone calls, so as David will tell you.
I think we peaked at 51 attendees, and they're still all on, so that's fantastic. Fantastic news. Obviously, questions have been coming through. I'm just having a little look just to see.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick up a couple of these. So there's one that came through on, can you explain scoring for a 3-ball? So obviously in the app, it showed my name and Gordon's name. If there was 3 people in that group, it would show 2 other people's names. So like you would do with a physical scorecard, you kind of, you know, decide whose score you're going to mark, and then you select that person, and it gives you the appropriate scorecard to mark in the app. So pretty much exactly what you do with a physical scorecard, you would just do in the phone.
David, just to interrupt, sorry, that might have been just someone marking one card for 3 people.
Okay, the score for all then, the score for all function, yeah. So as Gordon said, and as you would have seen with the Scottish Golf Competition guidelines that came out, is that when you're using the score for all function, you can use it as a method to get the score into the system, but you will still need another method of verification. And the club, that can be a digital scorecard or electronic or email, whatever the club's decided would be that additional method of verification, whether it's a scorecard. I don't know what the club's decided to use for that additional method, but that's only in the score for all function. So you can use that if there's only one person in the group that has one phone. You can use that to get the scores into the system, but you will need that additional method for verification. Another one come in I think it's I take it they're calling you Lynn, Dr. Terry. I've got a question for Dr. Terry.
Okay. It's a bit formal.
It's around obviously allowing to use your phone in a competition, because obviously you can get wind direction and speed on that in your phone, but you know the rules were changed sometime last year.
Yeah, you can't get direct wind direction, but you can get a general weather forecast, and obviously the thing you can't use that's critical is you can't use any altimeter function. That has to be switched off.
Yeah, so as long as you're not using that, you can still use the phone. Yeah, it's more what you're doing with the phone as opposed to not being allowed to use the phone.
Yeah.
Front, middle, and rear automatically comes in. So someone said in regards to pin positions there that the app will automatically give you front, middle, and back. So you don't need to put anything in the system to get that information. You'll get that automatically within the caddy function. Leslie's got a handicap. That's fantastic. She's been able to log into the app there. And what is the time limit for verification? Not sure what the meeting...
Until the competition's closed.
Yeah.
But
Obviously, there are rules around it, so that's a technical answer.
Yeah.
But I guess from a golf rules answer, you should be submitting your scorecard within as quick as possible after a round.
Yeah.
And also, David, do you not have to be near the clubhouse to submit the score? Will it?
Well, you need to be in a mile radius.
Otherwise,
the GPS location. So if you've gone home and you haven't submitted your scores, then you won't be able to get that submit score button. It'll be grayed out because you won't be within the GPS location. So yeah, it's always best to come off the golf course, submit it in the app, and do it before you leave the golf. I think most golfers would generally submit their scores as soon as they finish their round. And I think the last one there was just a reminder, I think, was to remind people that if you've registered in the app and you haven't played in the event, if you can withdraw from the app, because it does make the task easier for match and handicap if they don't have to remove people from the draw in the back office to finalise the results.
Gordon, just one question, sorry to jump in. Leslie Edmondson, the option to enter a supplementary score is not on her app. It wasn't supplementary, it said general play. So I'm not sure if Leslie can see the general play, but that's replaced with supplementary now.
If that one might also be a version of the app, if it hasn't, because that only came in the last two updates. So if Leslie, if you're on an older version, if you get the opportunity to update that app, you should see the general play. But when you've updated the app, that could be a version.
It also needs scorecards that have got the tick box. Let me just check Cruden Bay quickly. It needs the scorecards with a measured scorecard for it to. I'm in here now, Gordon. So let me. Right. Of course. No, they've got some, so that should come up. CDH measured.
Yeah, they are. They're verified, so that should come up in the app. I'd say that will be a version one. So as soon as you're on the most up-to-date app version, you'll get that ability to do that.
Another thing, just cut in. If you pick up on a hole, please can you put a 0 in the score? Don't just leave it blank, because that helps to in the verification when you're cross-checking, when it's cross-checking with your marker, because it might not, if your marker's left a blank and you've put in a 0, you might well pick up a clash. So if you could just get into the habit of putting in 0s, then that'll help you for this, and it'll help you for WHS going forward as well.
Yeah. I'll have a look at that, Leslie. I think you said you're on the most up-to-date app, so I'll have a look at that, and I can get back to Les on that one. When entering a stable event, do you put in the gross scores or the stable for points? So you just put in the gross score, and it will automatically calculate your stable for points. So yeah, please don't put in your stable for points. Yeah, just stick with your entering your hole-by-hole gross scores.
I think that's a principle everywhere you go, and it's certainly a principle in WHS. That's the key thing. You must, as long as you got your handicap right and you got the gross scores, then you're fine.
Everything else is Leslie's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks as if the questions are possibly starting to dry up now.
Yeah.
26 questions, so a very good response. Thank you very much for that. Just on the rest of the panelists, have you got anything else you want to say at the moment, just before I close it off?
No, just listen, thank you for the opportunity to be here. We're really, as I said at the start, excited to be on this journey with Cruden Bay and happy to help in whatever capacity we can. Yeah, and really excited to see how this all unfolds. Okay, perfect. Gordon?
No, same. Thanks for having us, and we'll stick close to Les as you go down the journey, whichever way you end up going.
No, thank you very much. Just to the members, there's more information will be coming out tomorrow. We're going to prepare a sheet for you, you know, a sort of bullet point sheet, just with more information on it. But hopefully this has really helped. The thing with apps is the more you use them, the easier they get. And things will change, so you know, don't expect it to be what you see tomorrow might be totally different to what you see next week. Because, like I say, this is constantly evolving. One question I did have, and Les picked up, that I was chuckling at a school kid in the first couple of minutes, was, Andrew, are you wearing makeup? Which came through my phone. Believe me, if this is what a makeup artist does to you, they're really the person but no, on a serious point in these scorecards, we're going to try and keep scorecards at a minimum. But we'll give you more information on that tomorrow. Just for cross-contamination, you know, we're trying to keep the staff, yourselves, and the match and handicap conveners as safe as possible. So if we can get the maximum use out of the app that we can, it would certainly help that. Gordon's a big advocate for it. You heard him saying that, you know, 100% are using it on their phones. We know that Fraserburgh have been using it, and they seem to go on very, very well with it. There will be teething problems. We're expecting teething problems. We've had various ones over the week, I think it's fair to say, Les.
One or two.
Everyone's learning. We're always learning about it. So I would just like to say thanks very much for coming to the webinar tonight, particularly to David and Gordon. Really informative. We've had some very nice comments through the panelists about how helpful this has been. I've had some on my phone, and so it's fantastic to see you guys. And so I'd just like to say thank you very much again, and thanks for coming along to the webinar.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.